Dynamo Joe, and this is a clutch kit install video for a Skidoo factory turbo. And it doesn't matter what year, 20, 21, 22, 23. This is a 23, 154 with a 3-inch track, but the principle is all the same. We're gonna install a kit now and let's get at it. Okay, so the first thing you gotta do is kind of have a half decent clean bench. Who's that? Oh, we're gonna do this. All right, I'll get the clear out stick away. Okay, so we're going to take the belt off first before we, can you get my whole body in here? Here, hold on. Here. Move back a little bit there. Now you can get my gut in there. All right. So we got to use our trusty old tool. Oh, wait. We got to take the belt off first. That'd be a good idea. Oh, that's a soft secondary spring. Look at that. Yeah, it's pretty soft. But we're gonna change that. That is sweet, the way that comes off. Very nice. And if I remember it, it's clockwise. You gotta go clockwise to take it off. There we go. You can give it a little spread here like that. And then I'm going to get a screwdriver to spread it apart. There, that was easy. Save that for there. Actually, we could even put this in here so it won't get lost. Now we got our trusty, our new tool that works for the, if you come on in here, Mike. So if you look at this primary clutch on the 180 horsepower model, this is the G5 P-drive primary clutch, and the windows are closed compared to the old Spider that had the open windows where the tool post would fit inside. But now with this being more beefy, this Spider weighs more, you need this 4-post holder. So this is the old Spider, right? The 17 to 22. And 23 on the natural aspirated ones. So the old one won't fit on the new, but the new one can fit on the old one, right? So if you're going to get a wrench in the future, get the new G5 clutch holder. There you go. Now it has the brace, the torque arm here. And now we'll figure out how to take the bolt out. We'll get the puller. An old-timey Skidoo mechanic told me to grease up the end of the puller or put a dab of oil on the end of it before you put the puller in the clutch. Always make sure you got the tether off because this thing will start pretty easy. Put the clutch arm on. 21 mil for the puller, this puller anyway, Dalton puller. And we'll do the old double wrench trick. If we have to. Oh, look at that. That come off pretty good. Yoo-hoo! So the reason I'm pulling the puller out is we're going to use the puller to split the clutch, but I want to count how many rounds I go in. What's going on there? There we go. Maybe I'll do this. It's just kind of grumbly. Four, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9.5. So most time we can take the clutch apart and hit it with a hammer and it'll come apart. But sometimes when you get a tough one, you have to bang it into the concrete, and then sometimes that will work. So this is how you get it to work really easy. There. Oh, you can see I was practicing. Ready? Okay, let's take this apart. And we're going to use this fancy pantsy tool I made. Okay, so we're ready to take the sliding sheave apart. And we got this nifty little doodad that I made up. And for sale at iBackshift.com. So it fits the sliding sheave perfectly on there. And what you'll be able to do now is work on the clutch. And here, have a look here. So it's got this nice slot. You put the tool in there, and now look how rigid it is. I know these are kind of notorious for having some kind of Loctite on that's really strong. I'm just going to test one to see how tight it is, but I always like using a ratchet to get the feel of it instead of using this right off the bat in a brand new clutch taken apart, because I've seen guys, including me, strip these out. Well, one, just one. So let's see how let's have a look here. Oh, that ever come off easy. Wow. Holy shit. It's like it's almost not even, it's almost like it wasn't even torqued. Okay, see how nice and rigid that clutch was with this in there? Okay, we'll use this. It's pretty safe to use this now. So you might get one of these that's really tough to take out, and you don't want to strip this. So I take MAP gas and I just heat it up right there for like 8 seconds. Count to 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then you leave it just sit for a moment, and then you'll be able to loosen it off. And that's probably going to happen. If it does that with one, 90% is going to happen to the rest of them too. They'll have, like they used to have this, I mean this is yellow, but they used to have this white stuff on there that was coated like holy cow. And I don't know what it was, but Man, it was tough to get out without heat the first time. Okay. But these are gonna be pretty easy to come out now. This is called the cushion. On the turbo sleds, you see it'll have this shim, and that kind of takes up the belt gap right here. Like when you install that, there's different shim sizes you can get from the race department, but only consumers can get this one shim. I don't know the thickness of it, but it kind of mellows out the way the clutch engages also when you have this shim in there. So I'll show you. You notice this. This here has kind of the same recess as the fixed sheave here. So basically I looked at the dimensions of this and put it on here, including like making threads in the middle but hollow to pass through, just in case if you use this tap bolt, and if you lost the tap bolt, then you can use ready rods, just a 1/2 inch bolt, right? Goes in there. It's got threads in the middle, and there's enough beef in this PVC material that as long as you just keep a little bit of lube on the threads, that shouldn't wear out. Like, you should be able to take apart many clutches. Okay. So we're gonna take apart the...
And replacement parts are available.
yeah, if it gets stolen. So we can use this now to change the primary clutch spring. So before we use the spring compressor to change the spring, remember we took the cushion off. This is called the cushion, right? On the TRA, that triangle piece on the old TRA clutches with the clickers, that piece is called the governor cup. And this is called the cushion, P-drive cushion. So this is a little sidetrack here. This is the new one, and this is a failed one. See, bad boy. So one day I'm up in this right deadly place that the snow is like this deep. And shut the sled off, and then we shoot the breeze, have a coffee, whatever, and get going again. I press the start button, and it doesn't want to start. What the heck's going on? So I felt the sled moving. Well, all right. Pull the clutch guard off. I look, and the belt is kind of dropped in the secondary, just like a little bit, but enough to like make the sled feel like there's surging going on. So what in the heck is going on? I had to start the sled on its side with the track off the ground. So we ended up figuring out what happened. I'm looking down on the clutch, and there's no belt gap left. So the belt, right? If you take the belt and you push it over, and it's going to have about 1 millimeter to say 50 thou gap right here. If you were to put a feeler gauge in, you would see the gap. Belt's pushed over. So there was no gap. Well, how the heck did that happen? It's because this failed. So I had to buy a new one here. And how I figured it out was I have a piece of granite, and I took the new one and I just went across and looked at the old one. And there was like a millimeter gap here from this one to the bad one. So that means this failed. Either the taper crushed in, or the taper moved this way, like as in, so right here, move that way there. And what it does, it takes up the belt gap. So if you, for some reason, out of the blue, there's no reason at all, you stop the sled and you go to start it and it tries to drive away, or you can't get your belt deflection, or you've worked on your clutch for the 6th, 7th, 8th time, and say especially when you haven't used a new washer for the clutch bolt every 2 times, then that clutch bolt washer, the primary clutch bolt washer, flattens out. And then you over torque the bolt on the engine and you compress this in and take up the belt gap. And now you're in for a new one. That's the way that goes. Okay, we're gonna change the primary spring now. We could just, oh, I like to have this on this side, and you'll see why. Oh, look at that. We can, I think the circlip is, oh, where is the circlip? Oh, there it is, right there. Okay. So we'll go a little more this way. So I like to have the small window open here for the, to get that circlip out. All right, we'll compress the spring. Heck with it, I'll take this shim off. There we go. And it doesn't have to go down much, right? Just enough to clear to get that gap, at that gap. And especially now, what I'm gonna do is, that's the nice thing about the plastic too, right? Is you could turn this and it's not gonna damage the aluminum. So I'm going to put my finger back here. I'm going to dig into the C-clip right here, and I don't need bullnose pliers. Just have to use your finger to put pressure on this clip in the back so it doesn't turn when you go to lift it off. There. Ding. There we go. Just may as well leave that on there. Ta-da! Okay, I'll get the clutch kit. So we're going to depart just for a moment from changing the primary clutch spring, and we'll show you the difference between this 23 turbo stock primary clutch spring versus our clutch spring. And I'll show you why the stock has like 4400 engagement compared to 2900 engagement. So we got the spring set in the cups, and then this is the mark for the stock install and stock finish settings. So this is the same measurement that's in the clutch. At rest, full shift. Okay, let's compress it. So this spring is a 170. There's the mark. I made it with a felt pen, and it's a 173.50. So where are we at?
You keep going there.
Go a little bit more.
Right there.
Actually, thereabouts. So you'll see the mark, 350. That's what the spring looks like compressed in your clutch at full shift overdrive. Pretty crushed down, right? Okay. So you've seen 170 start. Now we're going to show you ours. And we'll go to the mark. So 100 pounds, and then ours goes to almost the same finish, 360, and it's at the mark. Going from 170 pound start force, 4400, to 100 pound start force, 2900 engagement. And that's the way most of our kits work. I know people like to say, how come this spring is so short? Well, that's what happens when you have different forces. Different forces are produced from different spring lengths and wire diameter. So while we have the spring out, right, the spider is nice and loose, and we can change the left arm on the ramp, which is what we have to do in this clutch kit. So our kit comes with the Popeye arms, stainless steel spacers, and the Fastenal bolts. Allen wrench to help change the weights to correct RPM when you're out in the field. There's a couple different variations of this sheet depending on the year. In the end, what you're going to be doing is removing the left arm, the stock arm, and putting Popeye in. So that's what we're going to install. We have our trusty T25 to remove the axle fasteners. All right, when you go to put these in, you kind of want to push on the clutch to take care that you're not going to strip out the head of this fastener. It's soft. I'll push and turn the ratchet at the same time. There, I've just ensured that I'm not going to strip this out. Okay, that's one. Two. Three. I have the bomber one, and I've sometimes forgotten this, so I have about 20 of these. They were not even $1 each, so this is what I'm going to use. I'll put it in a good bunch of threads. Then you just want to give it a few love taps. Look at that. So we'll just leave that there. Go to the next one. Go in, a bunch of threads anyway, so you don't bend this when you're hammering. There. Piece of cake. Oh, so if this, it doesn't matter if it's this or this. Sometimes either of these, whatever you're going to use, get stuck in that pin. So just pull it back, kind of wedging it in there. And I'm just holding it with my finger till I feel it come loose, and there you go. Now look at that beauty. Okay, next. Look how nice and rigid that is using this. Oh yeah. See that arrow lined up with that dot? Actually, I'll just set this on there and I'll mark it. And this is what you can do too, right? There's the mark, there's our etched circle right there for the timing to time to this notch. Those are balance holes. Sometimes there's one, sometimes there's two, three, sometimes there's none, but you guarantee there's always going to be this. The older clutches, there was like a notch back here a little bit too, but right, so arrow dot slot. Hey, that rhymed. Okay. All right, now we'll take each ramp out. The dreaded crescent. Oh, and I made sure it's a dirty one too. A dirty crescent. There we go. So we're going to change the left arm. There's our arm, and adios. And put this on. 1, 2, 3. Should I use a bigger wrench, Mike? I left it at the other garage. There we go.
Left-handed nipping wrench.
Okay, here we go. Do. Now we can put them back in the clutch. So we're going to screw it in, and you notice how I'm putting my finger on the end. What I'm doing is feeling the impact, or I would use a ratchet, say too. I'm feeling the pin draw in, and that's done. The book says torque these. I don't know what the torque is. I just hand bomb them with a ratchet, and you could feel them. They just stop dead. So you know that they're tight. These will not come out. I've never ever seen one ever even come loose. Arrow. So we'll put the spider back on. Look at that. Now that we have those in, we may as well put the weights in. For this particular kit, this is the 2023. These are all the fasteners you get. For this particular kit of 2023, it could be different for another sled. You can use this video to look at the 21, 20, 19, right back to 17. The principle is still the same. And yeah, I'm saying this setting in this video, but don't pay attention to what I'm saying in the video as far as you may have a different kit, or you may have something aftermarket. You might done a power increase that requires a different bolt, right? It might require this bolt or this pivot bolt weight here. So I'm just saying today, this is the sled we have, 20.4 grams, and that's what we're going to install for this kit. You look at the fasteners, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. And I'm going to show you something before we move on with this. Okay, now the spring is not in this. What I'm going to show you is how the slide sheave moves in, right? The weight moves out. Now, some people call me up or email me asking, hey Joe, on my P drive, my bolt touches right here. Yeah, it might touch right there, but only at rest. So you start the engine up, and the bolt may touch, not on this spider, but it may touch the spider. But that's all it's gonna do is touch the spider. These bolt heads, the stock Skidoo ones, are like 20 thou smaller diameter than these standard Fastenal bolts, or what you'd see the YKK or whatever the other aftermarket ones. So now the clutch is turning. Engine speed's coming up. The moment the clutch starts to engage, the bolt comes away from the spider. It doesn't touch the spider anymore. You raise the RPM, 27, 28, 29, and the clutch starts to push on the belt, right? So what's happening is this. It's pushing the spider away. See how the gap's gone. Can you see the gap on this? This is the old G4P drive. Now, depending on what ramp is in here and what clicker position this is on, that bolt right there, the head of it, will touch the spider right there. But the moment you induce RPM, this sheave starts pushing back, right? Because the ramp is pushing away from the spider. So it's only touching at rest. But the moment you bring to engagement speed, that bolt moves away from the spider. Don't worry about it. Nothing's going to happen. There we go. Spring. And we'll put the spring cover back on. See the gap? I like to have the gap. I like to have the gap on the small side. There's the big side and the small side. I like the big side to be on the back so you can get your finger in, move it around in there easy. We just got to go down a little bit past the retaining groove, like on the sheave, right? How's that? I need my glasses. A little bit more? Watch, I don't need bullnose pliers. I'm gonna hold my thumb down on one side. And then on the back side, I'm just gonna wrap it around. Look, done. Oop. Is it in there? Yeah, it's in there. Or maybe not. Hold on, I can't. I need my glasses. Ah, there we go. It's so nice to have this fixture because it's safe, right? That is not coming off there. Okay, we put the spring in and now we're gonna figure out which pivot bolt to put in. So you remember 20.4 grams, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. 35 mil, 25, 30, 35. Okay, that's checkmate. Okay, so we have the 2 mil spacer, 3, 4, 7. 2, 3 mil, 4 mil, 7. And this one here says 35, 3, and 2. 2, 3, so 35, 3, and 2. One, 2, 3. Don't need a scale. We've done all the measuring for you in thereabouts half gram increments. 1, 2, 3. Put that back together. Put that in there. May as well do this too, because that's all we're gonna need for now. So 2, 2, and 2. All right. 35, 3, and 2. 35, 3, 3 mil, 2 mil. Now we're gonna put them in the arm. So just gonna kind of jiggle it around there. Set the clicker. There's 4. I'll just give it a little bit of snug there. Just that's enough. Okay, so we'll just roll. What's going on there, Popeye? There we go. Okay, that one. Clicker 4. This model, this particular model, clicker 4, might not be on yours, but it's just a good guide to go by. Oh, look at that. What's going on here? Rookie. All right. That's pretty fair. It's just snug. They only need to be snug. That one's good. Mechanics use ratchets. I don't know why people use ratchets. They don't read the instructions. Some people don't read this. Never ever use a ratchet to tighten a pivot bolt. So what can happen when you over tighten that? The ramp right on the center line of that bolt snaps, and the piece will go flying out in the clutch and goes around in the clutches, and it's because somebody used a ratchet and tightened it up too tight. They did not read the instructions. It doesn't need to be tight. They're just snug and a little bit more, right? Just your gut feeling, your stomach is going to tell you, yeah, that feels okay. Blue Loctite. Just a little dab will do. As long as you torque these fasteners, they won't come loose. Okay, now we'll put the belt clearance shim mat on. So remember that we're going to torque these fasteners to 24 pounds. They have blue Loctite on them and just the typical cross sequence. And then just go till it and torque it, 24 pounds.
Remember, just click once.
Did you say just click once?
Battle speed.
Go heave home. $24 pounds. Okay, now that we have everything torqued down, a couple of 2-3 clicks. These are all torqued. These are all in tight. Every weight in, they're snug. Clicker 4, everyone is on clicker 4. Remember our timing mark, arrow, etched circle, lines up with the notch. Look at that, just like downtown. You know what? I'll clean this sheave off too while we're at it. Black rings are from lugging or too high an engine speed at part throttle. And when you see black rings like this, that's called greasing. Okay, so this is the first layer of rubber coming off the belt. And I just used some Wore Out Green Scotch Brite and it takes the rubber off pretty good. Brake clean, chlorinated. I like the chlorinated. Oh yeah, beauty. Since Mike the cameraman forgot to put the microphone back on, so we recorded putting the primary clutch back on that turbo, but no sound, and I couldn't do a voiceover, so we're gonna use my clutch and put it on my sled, and it's the same, doesn't matter, it's the principle, right? Okay, I want to show you something here. This is a washer that was used about 3 times now, and there's a brand new one. So this is the old one, this is the new one. If you look here, this washer's flattened out. This washer here has still got its curve, and it's kind of hard to tell, yeah. But this one is lower than this one. Try not to use the washer more than 3 times maximum. So this conical washer, you can see, has got a curve on it. And that takes up about 14 pounds torque on the clutch bolt. So when you have the bolt in and you tighten it up, what you're doing is you're actually compressing this washer and making it flat. Skidoo says to change this every time. And you know what? I got like 15 of these things, at least that, because of how many times I'm taking the clutch off. But this here will flatten after about the 3rd time, and then I'll get a guy calls me up saying, holy cow, Joe, I can't get the clutch bolt out. And then I'll say, how many times have you used this washer still then? 6, 7, 8 times. Okay, well then you are going to... When you flatten this and then you tighten that up to 89 pounds, you're actually not. It's going right to like 104 pounds torque, somewhere in there. You're over torquing it. And the clutch bolt threads will stretch. And then you'll have to run this in the crankshaft stub to clean the threads out, because you've left part of the threads from this in the crankshaft. All right, arrow, etch the circle to notch on the fixed sheave. Okay, we'll line up the D notch. And the D notch is in there somewhere. Right about there, I could feel it. Bolt, new washer. Okay, if this is your first time, yeah, you could use like 2 or 3 times, but no more than 3 times. Toss it out. Okay, so we'll get our trusty... Uh-oh, that's the wrong one. What's going on there? Oh. Aha, there's the one you want, right there. Yes, this is a natural aspirated engine, and I put the 2023 Turbo Spider on my clutch, and runs pretty good. I'm very happy. I like doing, say, 80 pounds on my first torque attempt. I like to do two different settings, 80 and then 89. Oh, there we go. That was 80. Then I'll reset. 89. Right there. 80. Oh, yeah. Okay. What happens if you use that washer like 4 or 5 times or more, right? What happens is you go to torque at 89 pounds and it just keeps going, and you hear crack, 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 and this awful noise that's coming from there. What it is the spring washer's flattened out, and you're hearing the head of the bolt rub against the washer, and it makes an awful noise, and you end up over torquing it. And yeah, you'll click it eventually, but you end up messing up the threads, just like we mentioned a couple minutes ago. So thanks for trying our clutch kits.